Really nice payoff for the two jacks.
Sam Greenwood. Tricky, huh? You have good eyes for the jacks, or you see them pre-flop?
That they were queens.
Oh, okay. 500,000. We never know with you, but it's like, what cards you can see. Maybe you saw you had
Aces for 𝐿eman. Not the first tour of duty for this holding since the onset of the day's coverage, which began with 16. And it was Jungle that paid him off last time, sort of hung himself with a gut shot straight draw that he wouldn't give up on. Turn the 6-high into a bluff. Here he is with King 10 and some problems. King, Queen, Deuce, top pair for 𝐾𝐨𝐧. Quickly checks it.
Dangerous spot for 𝐾𝐨𝐧. This is a board that an under-the-gun raise is apt to go after with a lot of bluffing. If he caught any of yesterday's stream, he might have seen a glimpse of 𝐿eman's aggressive nature, capable of big bluffs. This isn't a thrilling top pair to have against under the gun, but it's a pretty strong hand. Don't want to get into the habit of folding this too early.
So we begin with a check call of 350, and 𝐾𝐨𝐧 finds two pair on the turn, hopping in front. Note that Deng does pick up a Broadway gutty, but he is now behind. 𝐾𝐨𝐧 is checked once again. Do you favor continued value pursuit with the aces here?
Well, it's tempting to put in a turn barrel for sure, but this is not a setup where we should be thinking about putting 30 big blinds into the pot with aces, and Deng decides just checking behind the turn is the best way to accomplish that end goal. I think this is very sharp. You can even see two pair checking the river now.
Yeah, are you surprised by 𝐾𝐨𝐧 not doing his own bidding?
Well, my hesitation is I'm not sure if 𝐾𝐨𝐧 is checking because he wants to control this pot or if he's checking because he thinks it's good enough to check raise the river. I think in a cash game, we might take a hand like King 10 and go for river check raise, try to get a big amount into the pot against King Jack, maybe Ace King, King 9 suited, these kind of hands, but yeah, 𝐿eman now sizing up, and I mean, if I'm 𝐾𝐨𝐧, I might just check call at this point, worried that I'm occasionally beat, although it is uncommon.
1.5 million. We're talking 3/4 pot from Deng. Pre-flop under the gun opener. Followed through on the flop. Hit the brakes on the turn. Now comes out with this sizing. And is it too chunky for Daniel to put in the raise, or does he just figure this is a man trying to cobble value out of me with no better than one pair?
One thing that I suspect is on 𝐾𝐨𝐧's mind is this is just very consistent with value. Maybe he doesn't know exactly what the value hand is that Deng has in this moment, but a lot of bluffs will see the 3 Broadway cards on board and start attacking on the turn. So to delay to the river is an uncommon choice for bluff. I mean, that's a pile of chips that 𝐾𝐨𝐧 has put in. He thinks he's got the winner right now.
And by the way, the 8 of hearts looks so innocent if you're Deng, and you already have the data point of Jungle having got after you unsuccessfully when again you had aces. That time he had air, and you're asking yourself, with that in the archive, would he possibly get after me again without beating aces?
Yeah.
So
keeping track of that
we have another table.
Previous history.
Yeah, no.
So important, and it makes sense with that in mind, maybe why 𝐾𝐨𝐧 is taking this hand that, you know, doesn't always have to check the river, but trying to match some previous plays that are going to be running through 𝐿eman's mind right now. Things that he's seen from Jungle. You know, there's a lot of bluff candidates here. Queen Jack, Jack 10, all extremely likely to check the river, all extremely likely to think about check raise bluffing.
Two pair.
Yeah,
𝐿eman
he pays it off.
calls the extra 4.3. The only solace is, of course, that he still will have 925, given the Jungle didn't ask for all of it. Not that if he had it would have made much of a difference, I think. We could very easily, if we were jungle, have sized to a point that would have covered Deng. Could we not?
Perhaps. I think the only thing leaning me away from that choice is that the gap between 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐿 and Deng before that hand was so narrow. We're not just putting in the extra 925 of Deng, we're also putting one of our last 2 million chips into the pot, and 𝐾𝐨𝐧'Ⅳ may be wanting to leave himself with 2 million instead of 1 million as a more playable amount if this play doesn't work out.
So a vengeful check raise from jungle. Credit to him for risking not getting any further value out of his hand.
Security escort out of the room later.
It's not him, guys. I hate to break it to you. Queen Jack offsuit on the button. Enough, and Greenwood has medicine.
Yeah, we'll see again if Greenwood deems this spot needs the caution that he showed earlier with jacks. This is a button raise now, and there's about 20 big blinds of separation between Greenwood and 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞. I think that seems to be the difference maker in this spot, allowing him to come with 3-bet, and look at what 𝐾𝐨𝐧 has behind in the big.
Ace-king off. So 500,000 and 1.8 from two of the biggest stacks at the table. That's what's confronting us as 𝐾𝐨𝐧. Ranges are supposed to be fairly narrow, are they not?
They are, and you know, I think if Greenwood's playing this hand against a familiar, technically driven tournament player like himself, he might just fold right now with jacks, knowing that this is never pocket 10s, never pocket 9s, rarely something marginal.
Yeah, visit being paid to the 4th floor by Big Slick. And as you mentioned, you know, this feels like the bottom end of the range for 𝐾𝐨𝐧's posture.
Yeah, I think if there's concern for Greenwood folding jacks right now is you're up against the very capable Jungleman, mostly a cash game player, does of course dabble in tournaments and understands a bit of what's going on, but almost making a show of how he doesn't really understand what's going on. So this has to be going through Sam's mind. I mean, is this guy just breaking the rules right now, so to speak? Are we outside of ICM?
And yes, the 2 jacks are put into the bin.
Welcome to the jungle.
And I'll tell you
Welcome
what,
to the fucking jungle.
Nacho is a
Wow,
bit
anime.
baffled. You know,
Thanks for sharing.
yes, thank you indeed,
He
Smokey.
raised before, sure, the 10.
Alexis, Vatican City,
No, but
Farhang, Iran.
he raises. Dan for
Mark in Botswana. Come on, guys, for real?
And Dan.
So
for
really the
time,
3
he
places
also now
you
is
three are
less
streaming
than
from?
conceded.
Oh, and
Right.
Another
Aces
couple of
for
eights.
𝐾𝐨𝐧, and yes, the Snowmen.
oh boy.
Bowing out, but Barbero's not going to have an exit available to him this time. Surely. Ace, king of hearts. The proposition so different. The interfering properties, the domination, the raw value. It all comes together. And Nacho's going to be so demoralized because he knows that jungle with the ball stack is going to be opening a wider range than this.
Wow. Wow.
And maybe the silencer is upon us.
Yeah, it's with the full process.
I feel like I'm winning it, though.
Awesome.
Has the Argentine
Yeah, the more I'm drawing, the
been muzzled by jungle?
I never how.
Looking that way on the Queen 3 deuce board. 1 heart lurks.
Ten of hearts. GG, guys.
And it's a wrap.
Sorry, Nacho.
Nacho drawn dead.
That guy did so many college on this one. They gave him.
Stone cooler. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 there.
Like, he really had a lot of.
Comfort him. King 4 off. Round 2. Provided that R2 allows it. Ace 9 offsuit.
Yeah, kind of deep here, especially with how tight all these stacks are clustered, to think about going all in. Maybe for 20 big blinds, we could just rip against the limp with ace-9 offsuit.
Well, hang on, Kevin, because this deck has just ripped bottom two into top pair. Kate's very nonchalantly leading for 400K, making it look as though he just doesn't think that Artur has ace-x.
This is really close to, if not the top of Artur's range on this board, and only reason he's not raising right now is 4 million chip advantage to Dan Cates. He wants to protect his calling range and maybe just decides never to raise this flop.
Pot grows to 2 million, but Martirosian's holding does not.
In this bottom two kind of hand, when you have both the second and third pair, it's so likely your opponent has top pair. Do we get greedy and just start, yeah, really big bet on the turn? This is such a classic board texture to be on the attack if you're the small blind here, and Artur, very capable himself of making a big bluff in this spot, might be thinking that Cates is up to no good.
Yeah, a little bit of that takes one to know one phenomenon. And as we pointed out, the Russian has a reputation for being a little sticky, being a little stubborn, although we're not using that as a critique of his decision here to call this 1.6. Very understandable. We've already seen Cates get after it across 3 streets unsuccessfully earlier at this final table, or a feature rather before the final table. On the river, unimproved is ace-9. Now let's see. Cates can safely remove the queen-10.
Yeah, queen-10 of clubs, only way that Artur arrives here with a straight on the end. Maybe some concern that we have king-jack pretty frequently, but
we're interfering with that.
Yeah, still really good chance that Cates has the winner. I think if you remove the pressure of the situation and the gravity of playing 5 left in the main, this hand would just be a big bet on the river and a call for Artur, but sometimes the context of what these two players are doing right now can shift things into the passive direction.
What do you favor, given that they're playing 8.5 effective and there's 5.2 in there in terms of sizing from Cates?
I see no reason why he can't go big, you know, something close to pot. I was going to say 3.5. This looks like more than that.
It sure is. 4.9, much more in the neighborhood of pot. And of course, the polarity of this posture, not lost on Artur whatsoever. The club draw missed. He unblocks it. He does make the call, and Cates shows him the king's up, and you can see Artur's disgust as he erodes to just 3.6.
Ace-9 so underrepresented there. You could see Artur shaking his head. It's an effective cooler.
And ace-king is a terrific start for Jungle. 6-7 suited ain't bad either. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢 going to limp. Not going to be allowed. Now these sorts of hands, the speculators of the world, is this the kind of stuff that even in the face of 2.4, 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐢's going to be maintaining interest in?
Oh yeah, definitely. Much weaker than this, I think. 7-6 suited. Should be pretty happy to take a flop once we've limped.
He agrees. 5.4 million chip pot, the first of this heads-up match. Jack 4-4, 2 spades, flush draw acquired for the button.
Ace-king, pretty strong hand on this texture.
Jungle knows it and fires 1.8. What he doesn't know, however, is that 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐢's got a piece.
And I would say with position, it's typical to keep calling. No need to fast play the 7 high flush draw and get it in potentially against a stronger flush draw on the flop.
Flat call. Another 3.6 into the middle and another path to the best hand for Huang with the gutter. Courtesy of this 8. Cates checking now. Fairly standard, I would imagine, out of the ace-king.
Yeah, 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐿 checking, I think, is to be expected. We're going to be up against a jack relatively often, but we're also going to have the best hand a good chunk of the time, so curious when 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜 opens the action here. If 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐿 likes his opportunity to bluff catch, or if he maybe even has an idea to deny equity with a raise. I mean, SPR already down to 1. A lot of chips in the middle right now. Ace-king can be the best hand, but there's a lot of rivers we don't like.
Can't blame Huang for asking for the pot here. This 2.5 into 9 does not shed the ace-king. Oh, and he finds a 7 to do it the hard way on the river. A snap check from 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐿. And you can't blame him for proudly announcing ace-king.
What seems like a similar understanding.
Oh, Jack-9 offsuit blast for 𝐾𝐨𝐧. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜 takes his turn
We'll see who wins.
with swift action.
Yeah, Jack-9, I mean,
Is this
Less than
exceedingly liberal?
less than 15 blinds with big blind ante. This feels kind of good, actually. We'd hate to limp and get shoved on, have to fold such a big hand.
Well, it doesn't feel good when you get called and shown king-queen, that's for sure. A 23.2 million chip pot. Might this heads-up match be over in a hurry? The advantage belongs to Huang Wenji. His rail bubbling over 65% to 34%. Heading to the flop. I spy a queen. I spy 2 of them. Trips versus queens up. And the rail knows it's near a wrap. Running 10-8. A path. Running Jack-Jack. And there's the first of the hooks.
You like the case, Jack?
One outer, but that's better than drawing dead. This would be extraordinary if 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐿 could extend play with runner, perfect. Is it to be? No! And a small eruption as MC Jungle has the needle scratched right off his record. And that man right there